Coverage you can count on. This is WAAY 31 News at 4.
A priest says he could die at Alabama's next execution. His concerns that have him suing the state.
A hunter's gruesome discovery sparks a search for answers. What we know about a body found in the woods and what happens next.
Access to an abortion drug on the line. A look at what's riding on the latest abortion case before the U.S. Supreme Court. We start this evening with breaking news at 4. 3 Decatur police officers filing an appeal over the city of Decatur's punishment for policy violations in Steve Perkins' shooting death. I'm Dan Schaefer.
And I'm Marie Waxel. The filing of those appeals, just the latest movement in the Decatur police deadly shooting investigation. Let's get right over to WAAY 31's Maddie McCaffrey, who joins us live in Decatur this afternoon with these latest details. Maddie?
Yeah, Dan and Marie, we learned today that 3 of the officers involved in the deadly shooting of Steve Perkins have filed appeals. That means they're challenging Mayor Tab Bowling's disciplinary decisions that he made last week. Now, Decatur Police Chief Todd Pinion just told us that any of the disciplined officers have the right to appeal the mayor's decision to the personnel board. How the appeal process works is that these appeal notices now will be written and prepared, presumably by the disciplined officers appealing and their attorneys. Once all of this is completed, we will know the names of who is appealing the mayor's disciplinary decisions and what police department policies the mayor determined were violated. And as of now, one of the officers involved has not appealed the mayor's decision, so today is the deadline for him to do so if he chooses.
All right, Maddie, now there were 4 officers involved in that deadly shooting of Steve Perkins. Do we know anything about which of the 4 have filed those appeals of the mayor's discipline decisions? Is it all 3 of them?
Yeah, Marie, right now we don't know exactly who filed the appeals. Decatur City Attorney Herman Marks says that it could be a week or so before we know that, because he says the process, getting it all to the personnel board, takes a little bit of time to file the paperwork and stuff, so we could learn maybe next week about that. Now, I just talked to Nick Perkins, the brother of Steve Perkins, and got his reaction to all of this. I'll be back here at 5 to bring you what he said. I'll send things back over to you guys, Dan and Marie.
Maddie McCaffrey reporting live for us in Decatur. Thank you.
The appeal over the officers' disciplinary actions are far from the only legal issues they face. All 4 officers involved in the shooting are named in a civil lawsuit filed by Perkins' widow. Aaliyah is also investigating their actions. Once that investigation wraps up, the findings will be turned over to the district attorney, who will present them to a grand jury to decide if they will face a criminal trial.
New at 4, we are learning a spiritual advisor for a Colbert County man on death row is now suing the state.
The Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood says putting Kenneth Smith to death by nitrogen hypoxia breaches his religious liberties. WAAY 31's Matt Paskowitz joins us in studio now to break down the details of this lawsuit. And Matt, this lawsuit is all about distance and safety.
Yeah, Dan and Marie, the suit says state prison officials required Dr. Hood to sign a waiver before Smith's planned execution next month. Hood claims this waiver forces him to be 3 feet away from Smith, something he says prevents him from his duties offering last rites. This same issue was in front of the Supreme Court just last year. The court ruled states have to accommodate death row inmates who request a pastor or priest be present at their execution, and that includes that official praying over them or even touching them. Hood says he knows the execution can't be stopped now, but he demands that the prison allow him to do his job.
We might not be able to hold back the tide of this impending execution, but we can demand that if it happens, if heaven forbid it happens, that the state of Alabama follow the law.
A judge sentenced Smith to death for the murder of Elizabeth Sennett back in 1988. Hood says putting Smith to death by nitrogen hypoxia also puts his own life in jeopardy. And I'll have more on his fears tonight on WAAY 31 News at 5. In studio with coverage you can count on, I'm Matt Paskowitz, WAAY 31 News.
Thanks, Matt. 4 minutes after 4 o'clock. Great weather today. Definitely not December weather, though.
Yes, clear skies all week long. It's been really nice for us. Storm tracker meteorologist Grace Anella joins us with a look at your first forecast as we round out the week and the weekend rain that's set to return.
That's exactly right. So I hope you've been soaking up this week's sunshine because we're going to have anything but that this weekend. At the moment, the WAAY 31 Skycam network, powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction, could hardly be looking better. Not one cloud in the sky. Conditions are absolutely lovely and sitting in the low 60s. Well above average for this time of year, but I think we'll take it. 31 triple Doppler completely dry yet again at 4:05 p.m., but the last day or two that we're going to be able to say that as I'm tracking a major low pressure system that will bring rain to our area before too long. This evening we'll cruise through the 50s and make it to the upper 40s by about 8 o'clock. So if you're eating dinner outside, you're going to need a light on and a light jacket with you while you're outdoors. But again, I would still soak up those conditions while you can. Our threat tracker looking good for today as well as for tomorrow. However, Saturday, I am tracking a caution day with some showers in the afternoon and then staying stronger with us as we head into the overnight hours. I'm going to walk you through future radar hour by hour and help you plan out when exactly you should get those outdoor chores done to avoid all that rain coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, thanks a lot, Grace. We'll see you then. Don't forget, download the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker weather app. You'll get access to our 31 triple Doppler wherever and whenever you want it. It's free weather coverage you can count on. We're learning new information about yesterday's shooting near Harvest that killed one man. The Madison County coroner identified 38-year-old Jason Click as the victim. 47-year-old Warren Xiao was booked into jail this morning and charged with murder. That shooting happened at Wedgewood Terrace Road around 7 last night near Harvest.
A New York appeals court rejected Donald Trump's challenge to the gag order in his civil fraud trial. The appeals court said the former president did not use the proper legal vehicle to challenge the gag order and sanctions. The order bars Trump and his attorneys from speaking publicly about the judge and his staff overseeing the trial. The Supreme Court accepted a case that could affect hundreds of prosecutions tied to the January 6th Capitol riot, as well as one of the federal criminal cases against former President Donald Trump. The justices will look at whether part of a federal obstruction law can be used to prosecute Joseph Fisher. Fisher challenged the Justice Department's charges that he was corruptly obstructing, influencing, or impeding a proceeding before Congress when he entered the Capitol. And a WAAY 31 follow-up now. As we first reported this time yesterday, the Supreme Court will take up the abortion pill dispute. The challenge is over mifepristone, a drug the FDA ruled as safe and effective more than 2 decades ago. But challengers argue the agency didn't do enough to study the safety implications of that drug. ABC's Melissa Dunn shares the details.
The Supreme Court will hear arguments early next year on reproductive rights regarding access to the abortion pill, mifepristone. The justices will rule on which restrictions should be imposed on mifepristone, a drug used in more than half of the abortions in the U.S. The ruling could make it a lot harder to get access to the pill, even in states where abortion is legal.
So these are the main things that are on the table. Up to what week can you use this drug? Does a physician have to be the one to administer it? How many visits? And whether those visits have to be in person.
Harvard professor Glenn Cohen helped author an amicus brief in the case. He says this is an exceptional case following the mounting abortion bans and restrictions enacted by Republican-led states since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion nationwide.
This is a drug that is incredibly safe. And we want to kind of make it clear that it's being held to a very different standard than many other drugs, including Tylenol or Viagra as comparisons.
The Biden administration promising to fight a ruling by a lower court that would make the drug less available, preventing it from being mailed directly to patients or prescribed during a telehealth appointment. Instead, it requires the pill to be taken at a doctor's office, not at home. The Supreme Court is expected to weigh in on this issue by June, putting this issue front and center of the 2024 election. Melissa Dunn, ABC News, Washington.
Stores are stepping up to stop shoplifters. New at 4:30, a look at shoplifting precautions and a new state law that aims to deter people from the five-finger discount.
A surprise lung cancer case and what you can learn from it. Next, a look at how common the disease is for non-smokers.
Plus, a mild afternoon today, but a frigid start to tomorrow morning. What you can expect out the door for your Friday coming up.
Coverage you can count on. This is WAAY 31 News at 4 with Dan Schaefer, Marie Waxel, and Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust.
Big Bang Theory star Kate Micucci is recovering from a recent surgery for lung cancer. She says doctors caught the cancer early, adding it was a surprise diagnosis, saying she, quote, never smoked a cigarette in her life. Mandy Gaither has some details now on how common lung cancer is for non-smokers and what puts a person at risk beyond smoking.
It's long been known that those who smoke now or in the past are at higher risk for lung cancer, but people who don't smoke can be diagnosed with it too.
Upwards of 20%, especially of women who get lung cancer, are never smokers.
The American Cancer Society says exposure to secondhand smoke, pollution, family history, and other factors can contribute to lung cancer diagnosis, but there's not always a clear culprit, says Dr. James Finnegan with National Jewish Health.
Most of the people we see who are non-smokers who get lung cancer don't have a documented other cause.
According to the nonprofit Women's Health Access Matters, lung cancer cases among women have skyrocketed 84% over the past 42 years while dropping among men. The organization says non-smoking women are more than 2 times likely to get lung cancer than men who don't smoke.
It can be hard to catch because a lot of these people are asymptomatic.
But there are red flags to watch out for, including a persistent cough that won't go away, coughing up blood, and unexplained weight loss.
This is not an epidemic of people who get lung cancer who are non-smokers, but it definitely happens. Taking care of yourself, following up with your doctor, those are all good things to do.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Finnegan says if you are a smoker, the best thing you can do for your health is to quit and to get screened every year. With advances in treatment, he says catching this cancer early significantly improves outcomes in patients. New details now on an experimental cancer vaccine. Drug makers say it's showing benefits against fighting melanoma skin cancer. Participants had an almost 50% lower risk of the cancer coming back or even facing death 3 years after receiving the mRNA Moderna vaccine, along with Merck's Keytruda immunotherapy. Moderna's CEO says the company is preparing for the therapy to be approved as soon as 2025, but they have yet to be peer-reviewed or published in an official journal.
Morning sickness in pregnant women could be treatable soon, thanks to a new study. Researchers say they have narrowed down the sickness to a single hormone. The study shows the amount of GDF-15 in a woman's blood and her exposure to it before pregnancy will determine how bad her morning sickness will get. The author of the study says the next step is to figure out how to treat these levels to help control the symptoms. If you consider yourself a morning person, you might get that from our ancient ancestors. New research has found early risers may have inherited genetic variants from Neanderthals. Authors say Neanderthals had a faster body clock to match the changing light levels at higher latitudes in Europe and Asia. Okay. That made it more likely and easier for them to get up early.
I am an early riser. Well, plus-size travelers are able to claim a free offer with Southwest Airlines. People who can't comfortably sit within armrests can get an extra seat for free if that seat's available. Plus-size passengers with documentation can pre-board to secure adjacent seats with the purchase of one seat, but Southwest says the perk isn't available on every flight.
Now, WAAY 31 Storm Tracker meteorologist Grace Anello with 31 triple Doppler.
That's tough to say. Big, bright, beautiful sunset about to happen.
Yeah. It's quite the alliteration.
Right
over yonder.
There we go. Yeah, I was like, what are you looking at? And it's right there behind us.
Who can tell me what Skycam that is?
Guntersville, right?
Look at you.
Gorgeous.
They're on top of it today.
Yeah. Grace Anello here, as you heard from the voice of God, telling us the weather today.
Yeah, so beautiful weather today, frigid weather first thing tomorrow morning. At the moment, though, conditions are completely dry on 31 triple Doppler. I think we'll take it. 4:17 p.m. on your Thursday evening. Beautiful views all across North Alabama and southern Tennessee today. The WAAY 31 Skycam network, powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction, showing us the Space and Rocket Center looking absolutely stunning at this hour. 57 degrees in Athens, 62 in Huntsville, and 61 in Coleman. A warm day for this time of year, well above average. If you're outside, you might not even need much of a jacket. Really, just a long sleeve shirt should be good to go. However, if you're planning on having dinner outside, then you're probably going to want a jacket with you. See, our wind gusts are actually going to increase as we head through the rest of this evening. Many of us sitting in the upper teens for those gusts. So we'll be getting cooler and getting windier, which means we'll be feeling quite chilly. Quite chilly, that's a good word for tomorrow morning too. When we first wake up at 6 a.m., 34 degrees. Now, though we need 36 degrees or less for frost, and we'll be there tomorrow, any frost will be patchy at best. So I wouldn't expect it to be a widespread issue in the morning. I don't think you need to get to the car too early, especially to wipe that frost off the windshield. You should be good to go. By the time we get to 9 a.m. though, only in the mid 40s. So a vastly different day than we had today. I would definitely make sure that you bring a jacket with you as you head out the door. At lunchtime, we'll be sitting in the upper 50s, and then at 3 o'clock, we'll have plenty of sunshine sitting in the low 60s. So that's the part of the day that starts to feel much more like this afternoon was. We'll keep clear skies with us yet again overnight heading into Saturday. Now, I want to let you know if you have any weekend chores, go ahead and prioritize those first thing in the morning on Saturday or later in the evening on Sunday. From Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon, I am looking at widespread rain in our area. It'll keep our temperatures at bay in the upper and mid 50s each day respectively. So it's significantly cooler than we have been the last day or two. We'll start to see that system pushing east into the shoals right around lunchtime on Saturday. The rest of us still dry at that point, but the shoals already starting to see rain. The system will continue to intensify and bring more widespread rain as we head later through the evening and then especially into the overnight hours. Now, 1 or 2 embedded thunderstorms are possible, but this system is not severe. Just some good old-fashioned rain that we could still use in our area. Sunday at 7 a.m. we'll have rain east of the corridor, and then by the time you're done with breakfast and heading to lunch will be cloudy, but that rain will be cleared out for us. What we're left with on the other side of that, though, is frigid wake-up temperatures. We're waking up Tuesday at 29 degrees. That is in the hard freeze category. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, we're still at or below the freezing mark, depending on your area. So we have the rain coming this weekend and then some especially cold mornings to start off the next work week. All that to say, soak up Friday's sunshine and more mild temperatures while you still camp. We'll stay cool throughout the rest of the work week, heading close to our seasonal average before more isolated rain returns next weekend.
Awesome.
Yes.
And I have to thank you personally for this great weather.
You're welcome.
Because I am really looking forward to participating in the Hartselle Christmas Parade this evening. We'll tell you more about that parade and many others here in North Alabama next time. Happening today, it is almost time for the Christmas parade in Hartselle. The video we have here for you of a previous Hartselle parade looks like a lot of fun. The parade steps off at 7 tonight on Main Street, and I will be participating in that parade along with Storm Tracker meteorologist Amber Kulik. We hope to see you all there.
Our hometown gal, that's where she's from.
That's true. Should be a fun time. And you will find a full list of all of the Christmas parades happening in North Alabama on our website, WAAYTV.com. Other parades happening today are in Phil Campbell's, starting at 6 o'clock. And if you hurry, Skyline's Christmas parade starts in just a few minutes at 4:30.
Happening today, a Huntsville church is giving back to the community by making sure families in need have food to put on the table. Progressive Union Missionary Baptist Church members plan to hand out groceries on God at 6 o'clock this evening. They'll deliver bags of groceries to homes where they know people could use a little holiday help. And it's not the only church grocery giveaway from Huntsville. The First Seventh-day Adventist Church will give groceries away this Sunday from 10 to noon. The groceries will be available to everyone, but you will need to bring a valid photo ID. Well, nothing quite says Christmas like chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Today is Roast Chestnuts Day. Though the first appearance is a mystery, people have been roasting chestnuts for thousands of years, and the holiday tradition became even more popular with Nat King Cole's 1946 The Christmas Song.
What's your Christmas dinner of choice? What do you think? Ham, turkey, prime rib?
Yeah,
ham? No. We're going to replace all that with that. This is a new holiday tradition, apparently. It's a giant meatball.
A good meatball.
IKEA is giving dozens of them away this year in the UK. Each ball weighs 10 pounds and comes ready to cook. IKEA is also offering a veggie ball for those who don't eat meat. Whether you're interested in a meatball or just plain confused, it's not coming to the U.S. anytime soon.
Trouble for Tesla, the major recall and the autopilot warning for drivers. Ahead at 4:30.
And next, stopping a holiday Grinch. A look at a new state law now in effect to curb shoplifting.
Plus, mild days today and tomorrow, but rain coming just in time for your weekend. That future radar outlook coming up hour by hour in just about 5 minutes.
Coverage you can count on. This is WAAY 31 News at 4:30.
Shoplifting during the holidays can impact local businesses a lot more than you think. We spoke with a store manager on the steps taken to protect their store.
New developments now on the war between Israel and Hamas, while the National Security Advisor is meeting with Israeli officials. Thanks for staying with us. For WAAY 31 News at 4:30, I'm Marie Waxel.
And I'm Dan Schaefer. New at 4:30, many stores on guard for shoplifting this holiday season.
It comes as a new state law gives police and prosecutors more teeth to go after thieves with sticky fingers. WAAY 31's Jillian Kay takes us to one local store who's working to prevent theft altogether this holiday season. And Jillian, how exactly are they doing that?
Yeah, Marie and Dan, the manager of Harrison Brothers Hardware right here in downtown Huntsville tells me that they just recently installed 8 new security cameras to help protect their customers and keep their store safe this holiday season. Now, this comes as the new Retail Theft Crime Prevention Act went into effect September 1st. The law says anyone who steals from a retail store may have to pay that money back and more. It says any retail thief will also be prosecuted in district court rather than municipal, which means thieves could face more jail time and pay higher fines. The manager of Harrison Brothers Hardware in downtown Huntsville says thieves better think twice before stealing from her store.
They are on camera, their face has been identified, and it will go to the police. If we have them in the store, we can notify the police and they come immediately.
The law also allows retailers to sign warrants for arrests without leaving their stores. And the store manager here also tells me that she has the added convenience of being right across the street from the courthouse and also having police on speed dial. But she says you can never be too careful when it comes to customer safety.
Now, Jillian, we know you dug through jail records to see just how big a problem this really is right now.
I did, Dan. I spent a lot of time today digging through Madison County the jail log, and I discovered that Huntsville police actually arrested 6 suspected shoplifters over the last 2 days. I'm live in Huntsville with coverage you can count on. Jillian Kay, WAAY 31 News.
Well, the clear days continue this week as we head into the weekend.
Yeah, you could argue it's perfect weather for a picnic in December. Storm Tracker meteorologist Grace Anello is with us this evening. Grace, temperatures are a bit above normal for mid-December.
Oh, more than a bit, Dan. Our high temperature should be in the upper 40s, and instead today we were in the low 60s. So conditions are mild, but I think we'll take it. Beautiful views on the WAAY 31 Skycam network, powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction. That sun just starting to say goodbye for the evening, but giving us those lovely views. Temperatures hanging out in the low 60s still at this point. So very mild night to be outside. If you're headed home early from work, it's a great night to take the dog on a walk before conditions get too chilly. We're completely dry from rain at 4:32 on 31 triple Doppler. We'll stay that way tomorrow as well. However, this weekend I am tracking rain in the forecast that I think you're going to want to hear about. As we head through the rest of this evening, once that sun officially sets, we will have much cooler temperatures coming much faster. At 8 o'clock, we're already in the upper 40s. So dinner time outside, you're going to need a light on and you're going to need a light jacket with you. Now we're good to go for tomorrow's weather. We'll be completely sunny with another mild temperature day on tap. However, Saturday and Sunday, I am tracking rain. It is not severe storms, but it is rain coming into the area, and it's going to impact your weekend plans. I'll walk you through when the best time to do those outdoor chores is and when exactly you'll need your umbrella, coming up hour by hour with a detailed look at future radar in just a couple minutes.
And be sure to stay ahead of the changing weather by downloading our WAAY 31 Storm Tracker weather app. With it, you'll have 24/7 access to our 31 triple Doppler and live weather updates. Best of all, it is free to download on all of your devices. New at 4:30 as we prepare for the new year, one resolution that many of you will look to make is operating hands-free devices while behind the wheel. A new ordinance that will prohibit drivers in Huntsville from holding any wireless device becomes law January 1st. Remember, the Huntsville City Council approved the law last October, giving law enforcement the ability to treat a violator as the violation as a primary offense instead of a secondary offense.
We all want a smooth transition to this new law, which prohibits drivers from using a wireless device, whether you're texting, talking on the phone, taking pictures or video. You cannot physically support this wireless device.
Our culture has become this cell phone is everywhere we go. We're looking at it's got our calendar on it, it's got our email, we get text messages, we read things, and that's great. It's a great tool, but there's a place for it, and it's not in the car while you're moving.
January 1st is when it goes into effect. The city, along with Huntsville Hospital and first responders, will take the first 6 months of 2024 to educate everyone about the ordinance without issuing citations, but get in that practice, get in the mood now to know what to do, or what not to do, rather. The details on all of the rules and ordinances and changes coming our way can be found right now online at WAAYTV.com, so you know what to expect as we start the new year. We do have breaking news just into our WAAY 31 newsroom this afternoon. Decatur city officials tell us all 4 officers involved in Steve Perkins' shooting death are now appealing their discipline doled out by the city. This was the deadline day for them to appeal the mayor's decision to the personnel board. The mayor had ruled that 3 officers should be fired and a 4th suspended for violating policy during the September 29th shooting. The city is now preparing for their appeal hearings before the personnel board.
Human remains found in a secluded part of Lauderdale County have now been sent to a state forensics lab for examination. A hunter found the bones in an area off County Road 6 between Underwood and Cloverdale yesterday. Lauderdale County deputies spent hours on that scene collecting evidence. Chief Deputy Matt Horton tells us it is a meticulous process.
Could take anywhere up to 3 months. So I know we've spoke with Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences. They're waiting on us to finish collecting everything. We've talked to them about how they want it collected, you know, the procedures and what needs to happen, where it needs to go, things like that. So they're waiting on us. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. We'll just have to wait and see.
Investigators hope the forensic examination helps them identify the person and the cause of death. A U.S. Navy officer imprisoned in Japan for more than a year is on his way home. The family of Lieutenant Ridge Alconis says he is being transferred back to the U.S. He is expected to serve the rest of his 3-year prison sentence stateside after serving almost half of it in Japan. Alconis was jailed for negligent driving that resulted in the death of 2 people and injuries to a 3rd person in 2021. Developing now, we're working to learn more about the condition of a pedestrian taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries after being hit by a car. We brought you news of this crash when it happened late yesterday. This happened yesterday afternoon in the area of the 200 block of Oakwood Avenue. Police say the call came in around 5:30. The victim taken to Huntsville Hospital. We'll update you here on air and, of course, online at WAAYTV.com as soon as we learn more information. It's a win for Marshall County firefighters in a lawsuit against the Marshall County Revenue Commissioner. The suit states the commissioner was not collecting fire protection fees from everyone in their area. Apparently, the commissioner did not fully understand the fee. Because of this oversight, firefighters say they missed out on about $35,000 a year. The commissioner can either appeal or accept the judge's ruling.
Former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani is not expected to testify in his defamation damages trial over how much to pay 2 Georgia election workers. This comes after he and his attorney repeatedly said he would take the stand. An 8-person jury in Washington, D.C. heard gut-wrenching testimony from the election workers suing Giuliani. He's already been found liable for defaming those 2 workers.
The House passed a sweeping defense policy bill Thursday morning. The National Defense Authorization Act includes a 5.2% raise for military members, the largest raise in more than 2 decades. The bill includes over $500 million for continued improvements to Redstone Arsenal here in North Alabama. It also freezes funding for construction of U.S. Space Command headquarters in Colorado until 2 independent investigations are completed into why the Biden administration decided to move it from Redstone to Colorado Springs. We turn now to the Israel-Hamas war. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is in Israel right now, meeting with officials there as calls are growing for a humanitarian ceasefire. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on the ground in Israel Thursday, meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet.
Jake also discussed the next phase of Israel's military campaign, and he asked hard questions, as we have been doing, about what all that could look like.
Sullivan urging Israeli officials to show restraint in their war against Hamas and pushing for more humanitarian aid in Gaza, just a day after President Biden's harshest criticism of Israel so far. At a fundraiser, the president said Israel is losing international support because of indiscriminate bombing in Gaza. The White House appearing to downplay those remarks in an exchange with ABC's Mary Alice Parks Wednesday.
If the president believes Israel is engaging in indiscriminate bombing, wouldn't there be an obligation from the U.S. to put new conditions on military aid?
Every bit of security assistance we give any other country always comes with the expectation that the law of armed conflict is going to be respected and obeyed.
But if they aren't, then isn't there an obligation for the U.S. to change the way that it's delivering military aid?
That's a hypothetical that I'm not prepared to engage in right now.
Israel continuing its barrage on Gaza, airstrikes hitting both the north and south. Meanwhile, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is growing, crucial supplies running out. Hundreds of Palestinians in Rafah seen running after an aid truck as it drove through the Rafah crossing from Egypt into Gaza. The U.S. and Israel are still cooperating on another front, recovering the 135 hostages still being held by Hamas in Gaza. At the White House, President Biden met with the families of the Americans still missing. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Tesla takes action to keep drivers safe after new concerns about the autopilot feature. We're live with the recall and the safety warning after this. New at 4:30, Tesla is recalling nearly all 2 million of its cars in the United States in order to limit the use of its popular autopilot feature.
Ivan Rodriguez joins us live now from Atlanta. Ivan, what led up to this massive recall?
Dan Marie, this recall comes after a 2-year probe by U.S. safety regulators of roughly 1,000 car crashes when this auto steer feature was in use. Many of these car crashes were deadly. This is a big blow to Tesla, which has marketed its vehicles, to buyers if they're willing to pay a little bit extra so the car can do the majority of the driving. Tesla launching a massive recall to update the autopilot feature in millions of cars to make sure drivers stay attentive when they're using it.
This is a really big deal because with 2 million cars on the road, it impacts just about every Tesla that's on the road right now.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said Tesla's popular autopilot feature can give drivers a false sense of security and be easily misused in certain dangerous situations when the technology might not be able to safely navigate the road.
It can steer and accelerate and brake automatically in its lane on the highways, but it cannot drive itself, despite what it's called.
Tesla says it will update the software wirelessly. Once it's updated, drivers will receive more warnings when they're not paying attention to the road when the autopilot's auto steer function is turned on.
Tesla's fixes include additional measures like visual alerts, simplified controls, and other checks to kind of make sure the driver really knows what's going on.
The cars may also disengage the auto steer feature when the software determines the driver is not paying attention. Patrick George, editor-in-chief of Inside EVs, says it's important for drivers to educate themselves and understand the limitations of the technology.
I think above all, just be willing to and ready to step in and take the wheel when you need to, because these cars are not capable of driving themselves yet.
Tesla's owner's manual says, quote, auto steer is intended for use only on highways and limited access roads with a fully attentive driver. But the company has pushed the idea that this feature does allow the car to make a majority of those driving decisions, even when not on those roads. Dan, Marie?
Yeah, it's a big sales point for Tesla, obviously. Now, Ivan, is this the first time the National Highway Safety Administration has investigated problems with this autopilot feature?
This isn't the first investigation, and it's also not the first time that the NHTSA has pushed Tesla to make changes to this auto steer and also full self-driving feature after finding they posed safety problems.
Ivan Rodriguez joining us live from Atlanta. Thanks very much for that live report.
New at 4:30, Americans surprised economists with spending in November. Retail sales rebounded by 3.3% after declining in October, when economists expected another drop. Excluding sales at gas stations, retail sales actually rose by an even stronger 0.6% last month.
On Wall Street, stocks finished higher a day after their big rally, celebrating the Fed's anticipated cuts in interest rates next year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average hit a record close for the second straight day. The index added 158 points to hit 37,248. The NASDAQ Composite Index moved up 28 points. The S&P 500 added 12 points. Some more good news if you're in the market for a new house. Mortgage interest rates are a little lower this week. The rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage slipped below 7% for the first time since early August. It now stands at 6.95%. That's down from 7.03% last week and a high of 7.79%, which happened in late October.
Now, WAAY 31 Storm Tracker meteorologist Grace Anello with 31 Triple Doppler.
Another beautiful December day out there.
It really was gorgeous, and as we talked about a little bit earlier in this hour, temperatures are I guess it's fair to say, way above normal for this time of year.
Oh, it absolutely is. We should be in the upper 40s, but instead, many of us even touched to the mid-60s today. So it's summer, basically. We're at the beach without saying.
I would take summer here with 60s. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, tomorrow morning, though, anything but. We're going to be absolutely frigid. We'll get to that in just a minute. Take a look at 31 Triple Doppler. At the moment, let's just soak in the beautiful conditions that we have right now. 4:48 p.m. and we're completely dry from rain on 31 Triple Doppler. Still left, though, with those stunningly gorgeous views on the WAAY 31 Skycam network, powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction. The sun taking its time setting today and giving us those rosy and orangey hues all across the night sky. 62 degrees right now in Muscle Shoals, the same in Huntsville, and 54 in Gunnersville. So if you're headed home after work, take the dog on a walk, take the kids to the park before the sun sets because conditions are mild and very, very pleasant to be outside at the moment. This weekend we'll have rain, so just another reason to soak up right now's conditions. As we head through the rest of our evening and well into the overnight hours, we'll have, of course, cooler weather, but stronger breezes. Now, these are our wind gusts, not our sustained winds, but at multiple points we'll be sitting in the upper teens. So those chilly temperatures amplified, feeling even colder thanks to that wind. It's important to note tomorrow morning. Now, to have frost, you need a temperature of 36 degrees or cooler. That's where we'll be tomorrow morning, waking up at 34. However, because of that gusty breeze, we're not really expecting frost in the area. That should keep that at bay for us. By the time we head through the rest of the breakfast time hours, we'll have plenty of sunshine that will warm us into the mid-40s by 9 a.m. So mild this afternoon, quite chilly and breezy tomorrow. Make sure you grab a jacket and maybe even a scarf as you head out the door, but dress in layers. By lunchtime, we'll be in the upper 50s, and then for our high temperature of the day, we'll be in the low 60s. So the perfect day to have that 3 o'clock cup of coffee outside with you. It will be beautiful. This weekend, I am tracking rain, though. That's going to keep our high temperatures quite cool at 58 degrees Saturday, 56 on Sunday as that cold front does move through. If you have any chores to do, go ahead and do those Saturday morning or Sunday evening. That in-between area from Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon is going to be quite soggy. Here's a look at what you can expect with that cold front. It moves into the shoals right around lunchtime. The rest of us will be dry on Saturday in the afternoon, but then that system continues to track east as we head into dinner time, and by bedtime it's turned to widespread rain all across the valley. Now, we could have 1 or 2 embedded thunderstorms in the wee hours of the morning, but nothing about this system is severe. So just some good old-fashioned rain that we could use here in the Tennessee Valley. Sunday, at 7 a.m. we'll still have rain east of the corridor, but west you will be dry. If you're headed out to church early on the eastern side of the state, make sure you do bring an umbrella with you. The good news is, though, when you're headed out to lunch after church, conditions will be dry. Cloudy, but at least dry. What we're left with, though, on the other side is the full effects of that cold front. Waking up at 29 degrees on Tuesday, that is hard frost, hard freeze category, and then sitting at the freezing mark on Wednesday and Thursday mornings. So it's beautiful weather tomorrow, and then rainy weather Saturday into Sunday, and then much cooler weather to close out and start the next work week. Woo! Say that 5 times fast. By the time we get to next weekend, temperatures are significantly more mild for us. Still well above average, but we will reintroduce rain into that weekend forecast.
I can't say big, bright, and beautiful fast 5 times, so no, not going to try.
I know, that was a tough one.
Thanks, Grace.
Thanks.
Honoring the best and brightest in music, next to look at the man who will hand out the Grammy Awards in 2024. I swear it's not him. Maybe it is.
New at 4:30, Trevor Noah will host the Grammy Awards for the 4th year in a row. Noah said he's excited about the opportunity because he gets to experience the show in person and comment on it while it's happening. The 2024 Grammy Awards take place on February 4th. And actor Anthony Anderson will host the 75th Emmy Awards next month. Here he is. Anderson, no stranger to the show, having received 7 consecutive Emmy nominations for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. The Emmy Awards will be live on January 15th.
NBA player Draymond Green is suspended indefinitely. The league's ruling comes after an on-court altercation Tuesday. The Golden State Warriors forward spun around during a game and hit a Phoenix Suns player in the face with his right arm. Now, Green, here's a look at that video. Maybe this is it. Can't tell. He apologized after the game, saying he did not intend to hit him. This was Green's 3rd ejection, though, of the season. Coming up next on WAAY 31 News at 5, we're taking a look at the final grades of Alabama's school systems, how Huntsville City schools are stacking up against the rest of the state.
Coverage you can count on. This is WAAY 31 News at 5.
We're so glad you're joining us for WAAY 31 News at 5. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist Grace Anello. A mild evening tonight, but a frigid out-the-door forecast for Friday. I'll get you that information coming up.
Thank you for joining us for WAAY 31 News at 5. I'm Marie Waxel. We begin tonight with breaking news. All 4 Decatur police officers appealed their disciplinary actions over Steve Perkins' shooting death. They notified the city of their appeal just before today's deadline. Let's go right now to WAAY 31's Maddie McCaffrey, who's live in Decatur for us this evening with the details. Maddie, this is just the next step in a very lengthy process.
Yes, you're right, Marie. We now know that all 4 officers involved in the deadly shooting of Steve Perkins have appealed Mayor Tab Bowling's disciplinary decisions that he made last week. The mayor fired 3 of the officers and suspended 1 without pay. So now we know that all 4 are appealing his decision to the city's personnel board. This news just came in from City Attorney Herman Marks. City Attorney Herman Marks tells me that we might not know their names and what policy violations they are disputing for another week because of how long it takes for all of the information to get to the Citizens Personnel Board. Steve Perkins' brother Nick tells me he's not surprised one bit that 4 of the officers are appealing. Listen here.
We kind of anticipated this move by the officers. So as long as the Personnel Board upholds that decision, we're fine, and it is our faith that they will do so. So we don't expect to see these officers anytime soon, especially on the street, hopefully in court, so that all of this plays out, and hopefully that'll be in a criminal case, and these officers are arrested and prosecuted.
Now, these appeals filed by now 4 of the officers has nothing to do with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency's criminal investigation into their actions, which is still ongoing. Nick Perkins tells me that the road to getting justice for his brother is long and that their family knows this. He spoke to me about Scott Anderson, the Morgan County District Attorney, and I'll bring you that on WAAY 31 News at 6. Reporting live in Decatur with coverage you can count on, Maddie McCaffrey, WAAY 31 News.
Thank you for that update, Maddie. We now know the name of the man killed in a Harvest shooting nearly 24 hours ago. The Madison County coroner identified the victim as 38-year-old Jason Clark of Grant. That shooting happened around 7 last night on Wedgewood Terrace Road. Now, deputies arrested this man, Warren Sayo, for murder. Developing now, Lauderdale County investigators are processing and gathering human remains after a hunter found them in a wooded area. They were found just south of Cloverdale on County Road 6 west of Highway 157. Now, deputies say it could take a couple of days to process all of the evidence from that scene. A rather warm day across North Alabama for December standards, that is. Storm Tracker meteorologist Grace Anello is tracking another chilly night and some rain for the weekend. Grace?
Marie, you're right. I hope everyone soaked up the sunshine and the warm temperatures that we had earlier today. The sunshine's going to stick around tomorrow. In fact, the temperatures will too in the afternoon, not so much in the morning. Take a look at the WAAY 31 Skycam network, powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction. Absolutely lovely views this evening. Temperatures moved from the low 60s just 30 minutes ago, now to the mid-50s, rapidly cooling off this evening. 5:02 p.m. on 31 triple Doppler, not one drop of rain. We'll stay that way tomorrow as well. However, this weekend, we're in store for a washout. Those mid-50s gradually cooling to the upper 40s by 8 o'clock. So if you are going to be outside taking the dog out or with the kids, make sure you bundle up. Just because we were warm this afternoon doesn't mean we won't be frigid this evening. Now, Friday, we're looking good to go on our threat tracker. Not one issue there. In fact, it'll be a terrific day. However, Saturday and Sunday, I am tracking rain and 1 or 2 thunderstorms in the forecast as well. That rain's going to start coming into the shoals at around lunchtime on Saturday. I'll walk you through exactly what you can expect and who will see the heaviest rain, plus help you map out when you should do those chores outdoors this weekend, coming up in just about 10 minutes.
And as Grace mentioned, tomorrow is another day to dress in layers. And remember, you can always be prepared for whatever Mother Nature sends our way by downloading our WAAY 31 Storm Tracker weather app. It'll give you 24/7 weather updates right in the palm of your hand. Best of all, it is free to download on all devices. New at 5, the spiritual advisor for death row inmate Kenneth Smith is now suing the state of Alabama. Smith is set to be executed next month by a method never used before. WAAY 31's Matt Paskowitz spoke with the pastor today, and Matt, he says the use of nitrogen gas to execute Smith actually puts his own life at risk and violates his religious liberties.
Hey, Marie, he did. The Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood says Kenneth Smith asked him to be there the moment Smith is put to death. However, Hood says a waiver the ADOC required prevents him from doing his duties. The reason why Hood says he is now suing the state.
Someone who has asked me to stand with him in his hour of death. And this is what I do. This is what I feel called by God to do.
The Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood says he plans on being in the room the day Kenneth Smith is executed. Smith is set to be put to death by nitrogen hypoxia, a method never used before. Hood says he's afraid what the gas could do to him, prompting him to sue the state.
If a nitrogen leak were to happen in the execution chamber, who will be there? What is the emergency procedure if I collapse?
The suit points specifically to a waiver Hood had to sign. He says the waiver requires him to be more than 3 feet away, something he says prevents him from doing his duties during last rites.
I mean, this is what I do. Of course I signed the waiver. But it feels like a kind of a bait and switch type situation. It feels like I had to sign this waiver.
Hood says Alabama claims they value everybody's religious liberties, but he says that's clearly not the case.
We didn't have a choice except to pursue legal action in order to make them define it. Make them define what religious liberty is going to look like in this space.
I reached out today to the Alabama Department of Corrections for comment, but I have not received a response. Smith is set to be executed on January 25th. In studio with coverage you can count on, Matt Paskowitz, WAAY 31 News.
Well, new information now. We're hearing from Chairman Mike Rogers following the House passage of Congressman Dale Strong's National Defense Authorization Act. Rogers saying, quote, Dale has worked around the clock to ensure the fiscal year 2024 NDAA continues to support the work being done in Alabama to support our national security, end quote. The final version of the plan includes a 5.2% pay raise for members of the military. It also funnels $500 million to the Redstone Arsenal for research and upgrades, and it freezes funding for construction of U.S. Space Command headquarters in Colorado. The bill is now set to move to the president's desk. President Biden's national security advisor is meeting with top Israeli officials. This comes as the White House pushes for Israelis to be more precise in their operations against Hamas in Gaza and reduce harm to civilians. Jake Sullivan's meeting with Israeli government leaders both today and tomorrow is to discuss several issues, including the return of 8 American hostages being held by Hamas. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is now working to repair America's relationship with China. In a speech to business leaders today, she revealed her 2024 game plan to do, well, just that. It focuses on improving communications, pushing Beijing for greater transparency, ramping up regulatory collaboration, and tackling issues like terror financing and the flow of fentanyl. The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments next year regarding the abortion pill mifepristone. Justices are set to rule on certain restrictions on the drug, which is used in more than half of abortions here in the U.S. Some legal experts say the ruling could make it harder to get the pill, even in states where abortion is legal.
So these are the main things that are on the table. Up to what week can you use this drug? Does a physician have to be the one to administer it? How many visits, and whether those visits have to be in person.
The Supreme Court is expected to rule on this case next June, which, as you know, will likely make it a big topic during the 2024 election. Some good news for parents concerned about their children's health this winter. More doses of an RSV vaccine for infants will be available in January. That's according to the White House. The CDC is advising doctors use the Beyfortus they have now instead of keeping some for later. The vaccine's makers are expected to release 230,000 more doses next month. Infants under 8 months old and some at-risk kids under 2 can get that RSV vaccine. Well, last week's unemployment benefit claims are the lowest in nearly 2 months, meaning fewer people are filing for financial aid. Today, the Department of Labor released its data saying 202,000 filed for initial claims for unemployment insurance. It's about 20,000 less than expected and 19,000 less than the previous numbers. New at 5, the Huntsville Career Center is holding a job fair for Polaris. Right now, the vehicle manufacturing plant is in need of production operators, material handlers, and workers to help with general assembly. If you're interested, you should mark your calendar. That job fair is set to take place next Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is for Polaris. They're looking for all kinds of help at Huntsville's Career Center from 10 to 1. Tesla is recalling nearly 2 million of its cars in the U.S. in order to limit the use of its popular autopilot feature. It's scary stuff to think about it. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said the autopilot feature can give drivers a false sense of security. They said it could also be easily misused in certain dangerous situations when the technology might not be able to safely navigate the road.
It can steer and accelerate and brake automatically in its lane on the highways, but it cannot drive itself, despite what it's called.
Tesla says it'll update the software wirelessly. Once it's updated, drivers will receive more warnings when they're not paying attention to the road, when the autopilot auto steer function is turned on. Yikes, just think about that. Huntsville City Schools released their report card scores for the 2022-2023 school year. School officials saying they worked hard to get to this point. We'll take a look at those numbers. Plus, police are searching for a suspect after a string of kidnappings at the University of Arizona. Why they're encouraging residents there to share their doorbell footage. Plus, several NASA SpaceX astronauts make a stop at Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville. What they have to say about missions to the International Space Station. Hear from them. It's all new on WAAY 31 News at 6.
Coverage you can count on. This is WAAY 31 News at 5 with Dan Schaefer, Marie Waxel, and Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust.
New at 5, the grades are in for Alabama school systems, and a few North Alabama school systems have shown some significant growth. Huntsville City Schools earned a score of 84 on the 2022-23 A through F state report card. And according to the district, that's up from the year before when they scored an 82. Deputy Superintendent A.J. Buckner says students and teachers have all worked hard to get to this point.
We know that there's been a lot of great work that's been done by our students, our teachers, and of course our principals leading that work and being a part of a very supportive community that has high expectations. Huntsville is going to rise to the occasion.
So we also checked out the other scores in that report card here in North Alabama, and Decatur City Schools actually saw the most improvement. The school district earned a score of 86, up from 83. You can check out the full list of grades for your child's school district right now. You can find it on our homepage on WAAYTV.com. Well, right now, law enforcement officials are desperately searching for a person or people involved in a string of terrifying attempted kidnappings at the University of Arizona. Within the past week, at least 3 female college students reported being followed or groped. That's according to police there. ABC's Jacqueline Lee has the latest on this scary investigation.
The urgent search for a suspect or suspects after a string of attempted kidnappings at the University of Arizona has left the community on edge.
The Tucson Police Department has dedicated patrol, investigative, and forensic personnel who are working tirelessly to identify and arrest the suspect or suspects involved in these incidents.
Within less than a week and within a mile of one another, Tucson police say there have been at least 3 attempted kidnappings of female students, each incident similar, with a man following the women in his car.
5'10" to 6 foot tall, medium to heavy set build with close buzz cut hair.
Police say one victim was attacked from behind. Once she screamed, the suspect ran away. The next victim reported being followed by a car. The third victim says she was groped but able to escape. Now university students say they're taking precautions.
I'm not with at least 2 other people walking around at night. I won't be around by myself.
The FBI, U.S. Marshal Service, and multiple local police departments are taking part in the investigation. Police are asking residents to share doorbell camera videos as well. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Now, WAAY 31 storm tracker meteorologist Grace Anello with 31 triple Doppler.
A beautiful night. Going to be another beautiful day tomorrow as we round out the work week.
And you know what? Perfect weather, because today is the state of Alabama's 204th birthday.
Doesn't look a day over 200, does it? Happy birthday, Alabama.
The easiest place in the world to call home. Let's take a look at the beautiful weather we can expect for the rest of our great state's birthday. 31 triple Doppler looking fine, just fine. 5:18 p.m. on your Thursday, and not one drop of rain. 56 degrees in Athens and Decatur alike. If you're headed out to the Hartselle Christmas Parade, well, mild temperatures for you. 55 in Muscle Shoals and 54 in Gunnersville. Looking beautiful in Decatur, where it's greater right now, with some of those beautiful city and Christmas lights lit up. If you're going to take a look at the lights, you're going to want a light jacket with you. Even though it's not too bad at the moment, those temperatures are falling, and they're doing so quickly. Plus, I'm tracking an increase in wind gusts over the course of the next 10 hours. So cooler temperatures, gustier winds. It is going to be a chilly night. Those wind gusts sitting in the upper teens for us throughout the rest of this evening and even into first thing tomorrow. When we wake up tomorrow, we'll be at 34 degrees, so quite chilly. Now we need 36 degrees or cooler to have frost develop. However, thanks to that gusty wind, it will keep that from happening. So still get out to the car a minute or 2 early to warm up the engine, but you won't need to do it to scrape the frost. More sunshine will warm our temperatures to the mid-40s by about 9 a.m. And then conditions will be pleasant in the afternoon, so dress in layers. By 12 o'clock, we'll be at 57, and then at 3 o'clock for your coffee run, we'll be sitting in the low 60s. Average for this time of year would be the upper 40s. So that's quite the difference, but I think we'll take it. All in all, chilly start to the morning, warm afternoon, very similar to today. Now, if you have any weekend outdoor chores that you need to be doing or just plans to be outside with the kids, prioritize those early on Saturday morning and then in the afternoon and evening on Sunday. From Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon, we'll have some widespread rain in the forecast, all thanks to a cold front that will drop our temperatures as well, sitting in the upper and mid 50s respectively. That first bout of rain enters into the shoals at 12:30 on Saturday and then continues to track east through dinner time. It will bring widespread showers all across the Tennessee Valley for the overnight hours, with 1 or 2 embedded thunderstorms as well. However, the good news is this is not going to be severe weather by any stretch of the imagination, just a good old-fashioned rain soaking. When you wake up Sunday morning at 7 a.m., if you live east of the corridor, bring an umbrella with you when you're taking the dog out, because it will still be raining even as you head to church as well. But by the time you're headed to lunch and we make it to the afternoon, conditions will be dry. Very cloudy, but dry. So that rain starting early on Saturday in the shoals and then ending late on Sunday in the Sand Mountains. So what are we left with on the other side of that rain? Well, it's the full effects of our cold front. When we wake up on Tuesday, we'll be at just 29 degrees. That does put us in the hard freeze category, and then sitting at the freezing mark on Wednesday and Thursday morning. So a lot to talk about in just the next several days. Mild in the afternoon on Friday after a chilly morning, but plenty of sunshine. That rain coming Saturday and Sunday, and then more sunshine to start the work week, but much cooler temperatures on tap.
We will take that. Got to feel a little bit more like Christmas.
Yeah.
If we can for Alabama.
We're getting there.
The Hollywood Police Department gave kids in need the chance to shop, who they say helped make this all possible. We'll tell you next. Now to Jackson County tonight, where the Hollywood Police Department's celebrating after they adopted all of the children in need in their community. Take a look. Police say not only did they raise the funds needed to host this many kids, they were also able to increase the amount each child was able to spend this year. The department thanked pillars of the community, business leaders, and town leaders for helping to make this charity possible when they shopped with the cop this year. Well, the city of Hartselle is getting set up for their Christmas parade tonight. It steps off at 7 and will run down Railroad Street and Main Street. And be sure to look out for our WAAY 31 storm tracker rolling down the road as well. Dan Schaefer and meteorologist Amber Kulick will be there. Amber, a Morgan County hometown gal. She's actually from Falkville, but don't hold that against her. Be sure to say hi to them tonight as you're out there enjoying all the lights, sights, and sounds. Well, today HubScore published its latest report on America's favorite candy by state. Entertainment Expects at HubScore delved into the that should have been entertainment execs at HubScore delved into the top 20 Christmas candies to analyze the top 5 most popular in each state. Well, coming out at number 1 was Kit Kat. That's the nation's favorite. Alabamians, though, prefer more sugary. They preferred Skittles. Starburst came in second. Candy canes were third on the list. For me, I've got peppermint patties, but they're in the green and red wrappers on my counter right now. What about you?
I like York peppermint patties as well, which I was completely prepared to throw shade on you because you like candy corn, but then you agreed with me with peppermint patties. So
Oh, yeah.
I thought I'd hold back.
But it has to be in the red and green wrappers this time of year. They just
yeah,
taste better,
otherwise
right?
it's not the same.
Yes.
Why are we even eating it at that point?
Exactly.
Well, we'll be feeling a whole lot like winter and Christmas tomorrow when we first wake up. 34 degrees with a breeze. We'll be feeling near that 30 mark. Plenty of sunshine in the afternoon, though. Well, we're well above average at 62. Rain comes in the forecast Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon, and then we'll have sunshine next week, but much cooler temperatures.
WAAY 31 gives you 24/7 coverage you can count on. Local news, breaking news, and severe weather. You can watch WAAY 31 on all of our streaming platforms and download the only weather app with 3 live Doppler radars. World News Tonight with David Muir starts in just a few minutes right here on